Hello and welcome to this Business Today Rockwell Automation Summit on the future of smart manufacturing in life sciences. During this roundtable, we will try and focus on some of the pressing technology-related issues that this sector faces. A very warm welcome to all my guests here on the panel. I will request Dilip, the Managing Director of Rockwell Automation India, to set the tone for our deliberations.
First of all, it's a complete pleasure and an honor to be a part of this August panel. I think the right place to start is to shine a spotlight on life sciences as an industry. I think sitting here in India, India is known globally. I mean, we are coming of age, fifth largest economy on the way to become the third largest. We are known for many things, IT prowess and whatnot, but when it comes to manufacturing, I think there are very few industries which evoke the kind of respect, that life sciences pharmaceuticals does, right? So India is a manufacturing powerhouse for generics. There's Indian talent all across in leadership positions in global giants, et cetera, et cetera. So I think life sciences, when it comes to Indian manufacturing, is something which is a moment of pride for us as Indians to recognize. Indian manufacturing needs a much greater number of manufacturing champions. And life sciences pharmaceutical industry is a champion sector. It's been recognized so by the government and many people. Life sciences as an industry in India and anywhere, right? It's an industry, we were just having a side conversation prior to the panel. There's one industry which is secure in terms of its demand. It is life sciences. The disease burden is going to grow. People are going to get older. They are adding years to their lives, and we need to add life to those years, right? So the greater prospects for life sciences pharmaceuticals are secure. Things are becoming more and more competitive as we move on. Closer home to India, at least one thing which I've been seeing is, for a long period of time, Indian firms have become global leaders and they've gone planted Indian flags all over the globe. But now I'm beginning to see a lot of global capital come into Indian firms. There's been a heightened M&A activity that we are witnessing and so forth. So the competitive dynamics are going to change yet again. I would submit to you that digital, as powerful as it is, and we are seeing that, just take over our lives in every sense, right? But digital is a mere means to the end, right? The end really is about making your business more successful. So it's transformation enabled by digital. And I'm finding myself, talking not about digital transformation, but transformation that is enabled by digital. All in all, there's a lot of complexity that's got to be dealt with. Opportunity is there, undoubtedly. There are a lot of we just come out, just a few years ago out of a life-changing event like a pandemic, but it's not done because you never know when the next pandemic comes upon us, right? So the industry has to really be ready for the challenges that it does not even know it has to contend with, right? So I would say that enormous amount of challenge, but even greater amount of opportunity, but the hopes of entire humanity ride on this industry.
We have some of the best representatives and across sectors with us. And I'm going to start with Sagar Sheth, Vice President of Projects at Indoco Remedies. And the question really taking off from what Dilip said, how can the sector that you are in and the life sciences and devices and diagnostic companies ride this wave of the digital opportunity that is being presented?
We need to see the requirements in terms of all manufacturing and having that automation in place. If you say the example of any injectables or any formulation manufacturing in injectables, if you see the simple processes, if you don't have automations, then the things are going wrong. And the regulators who are coming in, they are looking into all your processes very critically and they are identifying the gaps. So to minimize the gap and to minimize even the lapses in terms of operations and the operator's mistake. So if you have all digitization and the automation in place, so there we can control the things and the things will go in better way.
Okay. I'm going to go across to Mihir Mehta, the functional vice president of Praj HiPurity.
70% of the companies in the process industry who have adopted IoT and AI, which are the two key buzzwords in this digital era. The opportunity in the AI space is roughly around 95 billion something globally. The life sciences is only at 1.5 billion, and it is slated to grow to 10 billion, which will still be 10% come 2030. So the scope and the gap and the ceiling is phenomenally high. So the need for the industry is to look at the parallel industries which have seen tremendous success in terms of automation, digitization, and pick up a leaf from there. Life sciences have one fundamental in place.
Right.
There are online processes, there are offline processes, and there are laboratory processes.
Right.
All of them are disintegrated for a smart manufacturing. If all of them can be put together on a single platform, you can have a very high level of visibility across the processes that you are setting.
Absolutely. Bringing everything on one platform is very, very significant.
Data is accurate, can take decisions very fast. All data in my pocket and mobile, I can see real-time inventories, real-time production, real-time mission operations, everything is perfect, right? At the office level. Coming to the shop floor, where actual machines are operated by the people. In India, they are little bit, education-wise, it is +2, ITI, Polytechnic. And the main focus is to run the mission, right? There, this technology is very helpful to maintain to avoid human errors and to maintain the data integrity. But same time, in course of time, this will become a main part, mission operation become a secondary. I request the leaders, technology leaders to help make technology more user-friendly, right? I will tell challenges, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Advantages we are all already enjoying, right? So one more thing is cost effectiveness and time. It takes a lot of time to stabilize the process because the technicians from the automation industry, IT industry, they are not familiar with pharma regulation. Pharma regulation is very stringent. Anything you want to start, first they ask URS, then qualification, then validation annually, right? People is fed up with this process when they come to help us. And the technical glitches, any hanging the system, or any failure or crash, it call for again revalidation. It will take 15 days. So 15 days, my equipment process factory will be stopped. No other option. Right? And automation industry should develop customized people for pharma.
So this is a very good point. A vertical. Okay, go ahead. A quick interjection, and then I want to go to Aninda to add to what.
I was just itching because I want to actually bring in a perspective which Mihir put out,
Yeah.
which is learning from other industries and all of the challenges which Surendra you laid out, all fair. What's going on? Other industries, what they're doing, and we had a brief conversation on the side. I had the opportunity to visit a plant recently in India. Now, the thing that was really special about this factory, so what it was basically an entire plant model that was created, which was run for all possible scenarios, optimized it, right? Saw all the failure modes, breakpoints, all of that stuff. And once they were satisfied with all the tweaks in the process and the transfer lines, is when they began building the plant. The reason is, when you're doing that, you're also then able to train your operators in a virtual model setting before the plant is even built. I think the technology is no longer a limiting factor. It's how we choose to apply the technology,
and the people factor.
Correct.
Aninda Shom, director of the India cluster at Customer Supply Chain Lead at Pfizer, is also here. Jump into the debate that we're having, Aninda.
Now, digitization is at a very, very rudimentary level when we come to interacting with our customers. Most of our order management supplies are all through emails and very, very age-old platforms. Now, I guess that's an area where we can definitely make a big dent, but adoption is an issue. And as we already heard, if I don't want to use that word, but pharma or life sciences is in more than many ways a laggard. when you look at a similar value chain being serviced by the FMCG, they're streets ahead. So how do we kind of make that shift happen? And there are more than many things which kind of, I think traditionally this is an industry where probably the margins were healthy and nobody was looking at cost efficiencies. Gone are those days. Yeah. So we have loss of exclusivity, hitting us year on year. More than many products, getting into the national list of essential medicines. So the top line is eroding. And that's where digitization is going to make a big
That's a
difference.
very significant point.
Yeah.
The erosion of the top line, and that's in fact across sectors, not just in your sector.
In supply chain, you need to go value beyond supply. Giving the product the right time in the right place is a given. How do you kind of get into the value added space? And that's where real-time insight management is so very critical.
Okay.
How can we be more proactive? And that's where I think digitization can make a big difference.
Absolutely, a very good point. I want to bring in Girish Kotapalli, Vice President Operations at Laurus Labs. Girish, the key point really at this stage, and I think that point came out very well, that was made by Surinder Kumar with regard to people and their expertise. So the men behind the machines.
Yeah.
When we say manufacturing is smart, does it also mean that the people who are behind that manufacturing process have to be even smarter than the machines?
Yeah, sometimes yes.
Oh, just sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah,
Okay.
not all the time, because you need to control. See, nowadays people are everybody really using WhatsApp, smartphones really. So that helps us. Earlier, everything is manual recording and all. So nowadays, if you see the regulatory or anybody, even we are also trying to do the learning system through VR, virtual reality. So the machine you see from your Google Lens or like that, and then people can be trained on that. So rather than standard SOPs, the way we talk about it. So that's one of the thing. And people are not so smart right now. I mean, everybody wanted easy money. That's why, and they don't want to be there for 8 hours. Whatever the times they are going to be there in the factory, so it should be smart. Otherwise, process will go off. So nowadays, earlier it was so mechanically you have to adjust everything. Nowadays, everything is taken care by machine. So you don't have to put a lot of thought inside that. So that's why machines are really important, and then you need to understand the adaptability of that. Yeah,
Okay.
that really, the automation is the real one thing, but very few people should look into that. I mean, you should not give the space for an operator to twin to that. Yeah, that will definitely reduce the challenges.
Okay. Sandeep Rathi, the CEO of Sera Instrumentation and Control, is here also with us. Sandeep, add to that, because he made that very significant point only in certain cases. Do you agree with that?
It's not about agreeing, but it's more about reliability of deployment and the simplicity with which, as he rightly said, we are using smartphones and particular apps because they are simple to use. There should not be more.
But we are using only 10% of what that phone is actually capable of.
That's the capability of the phone. But the apps which are favorite, you get everything on the third click. In automation, what I tell all my teammates is you should achieve that for the operator on the third click. Fourth click, he is going to be fatigued. So that's the thing. So coming from what everybody is speaking about, we are at a very big advantageous time today because 5G is available at a very low cost in India. All right. There have been phenomenal innovation in sensing technology, which was not the case 10 years back. The integration of these sensors with 5G on the wireless, with the cloud, with the analytics is a roadmap available across Indian intelligent engineers. So we have to look at the advantages that we have. Phenomenal thing on user-friendly technology, 5G, and more so in last 20 years. See, 2003, Sandoz was one of the one to adopt a US FDA. GAM3 was a standard. Today, all pharma companies in India, they are ready with GAM5. That is the gold methodology for success. It's a gold methodology in automation or in pharma. So we are at a We are at the edge of success. It's only which integrators do it early and execute it, because these are into the business of pharma. Their business is making medicines. Their business is not making automation. So between the industry and the pharma domain lies a big thing about consultants, integrations who can simplify this. There the investment is happening. There are institutes like ISA which are defining standards. Those standards are from petrochemical, because that's the world leaders. If similar one domain for ISA comes for pharma, I think we did it.
Both of you have given me ideas about what needs to be done. But yeah, please come in. You will.
And then to add to that, fully agree to that. So 5G, we are going towards Industry 5.0. So we are just already past Industry 4.0. And the demand in Pharma 5.0 or Industry 5.0 will be much more towards bandwidth or data intensive. It's going to be so unprecedented that probably today we'll not imagine the need of what we see in sci-fi or sci-fi movies. Because that's going to happen when we enter into 6G, or because 5G Industry 5.0 is about what you are telling, machine and human interaction. It's reverse. Today we are talking about Industry 4.0 has taken jobs of many people. But now, in next phase is going to be reverse. Human and machine will work in tandem.
There's one aspect which is normally felt in the industry whenever somebody is, in the decision-making process at the top about the cost of automation and controls. If you look at it, we have heard about the regulatory requirements becoming more and more stringent. And I come from the API side, where there is one more aspect that needs to be addressed, which is the safety of the people. So safety and quality, these go hand in hand in the chemical process industry. And when businesses are setting up manufacturing facilities, sometimes it is looked at as a cost, process control and automation, added over and above what is the expense going to be. But think of it, the benefits far outweigh the costs that are invested in that. Typically, in setting up a process industry in manufacturing, chemical manufacturing, the cost of process control and automation might hardly be 5 to 10% of the total cost. And one accident or one issue on quality leading to a regulatory issue, which has resulted, I don't want to take names, there have been horrendous impacts of these aspects. I think it needs to be a part of the culture which has to be set at the top of the organization to basically assure safe processes and assured quality supply so that the end user, who is the patient, gets safe medicines and it is produced in a safe manner.
I'm glad you touched upon that, because this is the broader point about best practices. Please go ahead, Manish.
So I think, a lot of us have been talking about the implementation of 4.0 in the life science space. I think I'd like to bring in also a very different element here. A lot of the system providers today, people like Mihir, Bhavik, Prashant, we are not only dealing with, the top end of the life science segment, the top end, which is, manufacturing products for Europe or the US markets. But all of us are dealing a lot with the middle segment of the life science market, which is manufacturing products for India. So I think, when we deal with these companies, when we work with these companies, we also need to have a very different approach. They're still at probably Pharma 3.0. So, all of us have to work very closely in developing technologies which provide automation at a very cost-effective level. So you want to bring in technology, you want to bring in automation, you want to process data, data integrity, but all this has to be achieved at a very, very low cost. So I think a lot of us system providers are also very aggressively working how we can provide the Indian industry with low cost automation solutions which still provide the best possible results. So I think, this also is a very important challenge which, all of us have to keep in mind as to how we can help the middle segment to transition from Pharma 3.0 to Pharma 4.0 in the most cost-effective manner. At the same time, ensuring that all the regulatory requirements have been complied with. We also spoke a lot about 5G, and I think 5G and Pharma 5.0 will also open up many other doors, because we will see systems, we will see technologies which will not only help us to uh, predict outcomes, but which will also help us to actually evaluate business scenarios and take actions themselves. So I think very soon we would be heading into a very, very different space. And this is a challenge which, all of us will have to capitalize and probably, gain maximum mileage from.
Just wanted to, we have been talking in terms of building on Shiri's point, right? In terms of impact of this entire transformations. Why and how we know there is no questions about it, but what impact is going to create in terms of India life sciences. So as we all know that the margins which have been leveraging 5 years back, they are no more in terms of after Trump, the US policies and European policies, all pharma, the major goal is on the cost of operations, lowest cost of operations, but with the quality at the highest level, right? So this is going to play a huge role. We can see if we compare like 4 or 5 years, all of our capital discussions are happening how? It's like EBIT, right? The digital transformation is already there, and the things have been moving very fast in that particular field in terms of the capital type. If you say the operation part, the impact is so high because one capex you do it once, but the operation is on day-to-day basis, right? So with the digital transformations, the data which you get in terms of your plant operations, the cost savings we can do, the optimize we can do, it is like significant, and there is no doubt the impact is so high on that area. Second area, just I would like to touch is in pharma, the most common part is audits. That's why we are here, right? Any plant has to go to the audits. This transformation can bring a huge change in terms of how audits happens. So we get auditors from US, Europe. They come. Today the audit is how much? Right? 15 days, 10 days. Can we do it in 2 days? Can we do it in 1 day? Can we do it without even the visits, where everything is digital? Because if we do an audit example, right? Maybe there are like folders and folders, rooms and rooms of documentations, we go through it. But this transformation really can impact the auditability of the pharma industry. And that can drive the huge change. Last point which I would like to just mention is sustainability. We were in Akima like a month back. The whole theme of Akima, which is the biggest pharma expo in the world, was on sustainability in terms of energies. Because everybody is talking about any company sitting here would be having a signing goal of the corporate level would be reduction in CO2. So how are we going to achieve that goal in terms of how are we going to measure the energies we are spending? It's not going to happen on the paper. It has to happen on the digital platforms. So in terms of your operations has to go digital. Your processes has to go digital. Your supply chain has to go digital. That's how, and it's not that we have been not doing it. Things have been doing it. It's basically, it comes to the challenge is the mindset. Because if after COVID, we just implemented one process in terms, I'll just take a small example of it.
Yes.
Any service request was either on a phone call. It was the easiest way of operator to just call up a person. This is a problem, but there was no technicality of it. We tried to make it digital in terms of the entire application, but the biggest challenge over there is mindset. Because the call is the easiest way to do it. Then log in a complaint in the computer. But if you log in the complaint in the computer, you get the entire traceability of your service, how it has been resolved, what root cause was that, and what was the resolution time. So it can be used for the multiple sites. So that impact is huge, which I see.
Amol Shah, the managing director of MJ Biopharm, is also here. So Amol, as you, because you've been listening to everyone, as you give us answers on that, please also relate some such incident yourself which sort of taught you both the value of the equipment and the cost issues around it.
I think the panel over here has talked very eloquently about the challenges and the benefits of the IT's concern. I'll first address the issue that you've raised in terms of the challenges that we have faced in gearing up our IT structure. Not only the the technology part of it, but also the mindset. They've bought out, some of the senior people, some of the mid-sized, middle level people have an attitude of bring up problems rather than solutions. Every time we talk inside. So everything that you present that I want to do something different, I want to change it, there'll be 10 problems that put up forward. And then, you go at the grassroots level and you do brainstorming to figure out a solution. In the same spirit, I mean, like we are doing our SAP implementations, we have done our ELMS implementation, some of the things that people here are familiar with. And we've tried as much as possible to outsource it, because then, we've got technical capable people who know what they're doing. And rather than to work with trial and error, we've spent a little bit more effort and money, but I think we are hoping that we get a better solution than what we are doing. As we have grown, we have got the people who have been with us for 15 years, 20 years. They've got certain mindset of working. They feel their mindset is the right way to work. And to suddenly change and to ask them to adopt to digitization is not that easy. Some challenge that people challenge has been a significant challenge for us to adapt to all these technology that you people are talking about.
Also to speak, because there are two people who haven't spoken so far. Prashant Kali, Associate Director at Klimapharm Technologies. Please come in on that.
So I think we have a lot of consensus, that the pharma industry is a kind of a laggard, in terms of adopting technology. And why it is? Because a lot of pharma professionals are super conservative, and they would like to have use cases accepted by FDA, to make that plunge. And unfortunately, a lot of people are not aware what is happening across the industry. So World Economic Forum has started a concept of digital lighthouse. And only 3 companies in India have certified: Cipla, Dr. Reddy's and ACG. And those knowledge has not been shared across the industry. How to get that implementation done rightly. So unless and otherwise, those success stories and use cases has been widely spread, okay, I think the execution and the acceptability will remain low. The one more bigger point is we have 2 net export, industries. One is pharma, one is IT. Unless we do not meaningfully converge, okay, unless we do not meaningfully associate, I think this challenge will going to be remain in the coming future. A lot of multinational pharmas or big pharmas have done this in the Western world, and Indian IT companies have helped them to achieve that.
Why not in India?
Why not in India? I mean, that's a $1 million question. And if you just see, none of the big pharma is having a client of big IT companies.
Wow, that's a brilliant point. Bhushan, you are now on the spot. Why not in India? It may not apply to your company, but just as an industry representative, Bhushan, tell us why not in India? Because what Prashant says is absolutely eye-opening. Pharma and IT sector contribute to a tremendous amount of export earnings for us. The best and brightest of minds are in this sector.
Yeah.
But why is it not happening?
One of the customers that I was speaking to, they say we don't want to even hook up our systems to intranet, our local intranet. Forget about connecting those to internet. And the reason is security. But if you look from another perspective, are their systems, if they are standalone, are they secure? The answer is no. Because if you see, there are other ways to hook up to these systems. Those systems, the challenge is we need to be secure and we need to be vigilant right from the top to the bottom. And that is the ask. So when it comes to security, every aspect needs to be considered, whether it is design level security or whether it is organizational level deployment. So when it comes to 5G, for example, I was just talking before this session, the different industry protocols, whether 5G is going to support these all protocols, that is also very important. It is also important that if we are talking of 5G now, have we thought of other technologies, for example, time sensitive network, TSN, TSN is going to prevail. For example, 5G may give you 5 years down the line, it may give you a speed of 10 GB, 10 Gbps. But if you look at TSN, it may give you up to 400 Gbps speed. So then, right now, we invest or the industry invests a lot on 5G, and then what happens if there is some other thing coming up? So people will keep on thinking what has to be done, what has to be the right approach. Once it is very clear across the industry, maybe in a parallel industry, as you rightly said, then it will make sense for the pharma industry to adopt.
Today in the healthcare industry, we are using remote robotic surgeries. Okay, a surgeon sitting in the US can do a surgery in India is because of the advent of 5G. So the latency has reduced, and if we can take that kind of a risk, I think we can very well take in the manufacturing.
So it's very important for the industry and the support systems or companies like us also who support the industry to look at these systematic stages of maturity, and have we jumped the ship before visibility to being able to say that I want a system which is very predictable? Not possible. So visibility is the stage at which most of the companies are stuck with. 50% of the processes remain in the operator's mind and not on paper. And this is some food for thought.
I am almost reminded of how some of the best recipes in our homes are never committed to paper. They are always in memory. Who else wants to jump in?
Look, over the last couple of minutes, we have all agreed that there is no debate on digitalization and the value proposition from digitalization. But the key is adoption. Adoption, internally within the organization, and trust me, I've gone through the same issue. And it's clear that if you really want to adopt it, you need to have the Gen Zs, the millennials to come in. And one of the things that I would like to share, like in our organization, that we have been doing regularly is get interns. People not from just pharma organization, people from colleges who are completely even if they are not from supply chain, even if they are not from the guys who are digitally savvy, because that's the the talent of the future that is required. And what they bring on the table is asking these stupid questions. Why and why not? And trust me, it's made a big difference.
Interestingly, AI is everywhere. It's in your mobile phones, and the way supply chain is using GPS tracking systems, and that's going to be advanced AI for distribution systems.
Okay.
Secondly, social media, your chatbots and all that. So AI has already entered, particularly in many places.
So if you look at the way AI is progressing, so if you look at the AI maturity model, you can split it into awareness and experimentation, and then operational orchestration, and then deployment. Right?
Where do you think we are? Experimentation?
So we are at experimentation stage right now. But if you look across the industry segment, then definitely we are moving towards operational part. Most of the times what the auditors point out is you don't have enough processes or you don't have SOPs in place. Right? And if you have AI, you have the right automation models, the right products with full automation scope, then the number of steps will reduce and the FDA's observations will also reduce.
Okay.
One point that caught my attention was in a flow process, establishing a state of control with so many variables in the process. How do you ensure a state of control so that you get a consistent output?
AI brings a huge potential in terms of getting it deeper analytical to resolve it. And this can be applied to, because everybody here having multiple sites, multiple locations. So, and it's not a unique problem everybody is facing. There'll be more of a difference, same sort of a patch of the problems facing. AI brings repeatability, predictability at a very, very high scale. And that can really change the whole dynamics of the industry. Second part, we actually not spoken as a panel, which I would like to just supply chain of life sciences, right? So huge part, supply chain plays a huge, because we have been importing APIs, chemicals, exporting. The export becomes a key strength of life science industries when we talk about supply chain. AI brings a huge advantage to the supply chains in terms of their process, in terms of their spare management programs, really, because it can really predict, it can really optimize the inventory cost and its logistics, how we do the payments, finance, and it has been happening in a couple of years with the good multinational companies and even the good big companies in India. And we see a huge value to it in terms of, it's not only AI means not only in the manufacturing side, but equally the supply chain becomes a critical part of the operations and the total cost of the ownership. So that's what I say, it plays a huge role as a part of AI.
Industry is doing all it can without the help of the regulators, and you're sort of fighting two challenges. You're fighting the challenges of the lethargy of the regulators who still believe in the older systems, they're comfortable with it, they don't want to change. You're fighting internal people. At the same time, you're modernizing and trying to adapt to the digitization of the world.
Transition from industry 4.0 to 5.0, the subtle change, the technologies are all the same. The subtle changes that the spotlight has shifted from technology to the human, right? How do you enable the human to embrace, adopt that technology and go through the transformation, right? That really is the trick. One luxury that we as industry professionals will never get is the luxury of time. What do we have to do is we have to be very deliberate about the challenge that we pick up to deal with. I agree with you when you say that, we are in the experimentation stages of these new technologies, which we are. But as we are doing that, the things that we choose to work on, if those are things which actually end up tackling some hard problems that, the actual user on the shop floor is facing with, that gets us enormous credibility in the early stages. Life sciences in particular, just for the sheer nature of the products that we deal with, right? Sustainability has to be, a prime consideration, right? And sustainability, well, I would simply say that sustainability and digital are two sides of the same coin. What you cannot measure, you cannot control, right? And to be able to measure that, all of the things that we've been talking about enable us to have a better visualization, better visibility into your end-to-end supply chain. Yeah, I think interesting times, lots of opportunities, lots of stuff for us to, as professionals, bite into and hopefully create superior outcomes for our businesses and the industry overall.
Thank you very much for that summation, Dilip. In this era of AI, in this era of automation, of 5G, of connected devices, of great concerns around cybersecurity, of great concerns to meet regulatory standards, global regulatory standards, that both the manufacturing industry, the equipment developers, and the end users, and pretty much every other stakeholder in the life sciences and pharma space needs to work and cooperate very closely. With that, I'll thank my entire panel for their patience and for sitting through this and contributing so meaningfully. With that, it's a wrap on this attempt for us to try and bring together the best and brightest of the industry onto one common platform. I'll say bye for now. See you soon, very soon once again. Bye-bye.